Okay. This presentation is on Running Start. The purpose of it, as we said, is to give a brief overview of Running Start. If you are interested in the program, at the end of the slide deck, you will see some information about the information nights for Bellevue College and Central Washington College. And for the other colleges, you're welcome to go to their websites and find the events or the nights where they will be doing an information session. It is strongly recommended that you go to the information session for each of the college that you're interested in attending. And if you have, after you've attended that information center session, if you have additional questions, we encourage you to visit with your child to visit with their school counselor. You are also welcome to make an appointment with your child's school counselor with your child so you can discuss Running Start opportunities. Melanie?
Thank you, Lorna. You can feel free to tell me when to turn slides over to you and vice versa. So what is Running Start? This is a Washington State program. It allows students in their junior and senior year, based on when they entered high school, junior and senior year, students can take classes at a college campus, tuition free. And for those classes, they will earn both those grades and credits on both their high school transcript and the college credit. So that is a dual credit opportunity, both college and high school. Running Start students continue to be Issaquah School District students. So even if a student is taking all of their classes at the community college or local college, they can continue to participate in sports, clubs, activities, events at the high school. You are duly enrolled in both the high school and the college. And school counselors continue to be accessible and also important measure of success for students engaged in the Running Start program. School counselors advise and provide guidance on selecting courses and also sign a form each quarter that pays the tuition for Running Start. So very, very important partners. Next slide. Okay, the college class schedule is a little bit different than high school. So the first thing that I want to note is that the colleges are on a quarter-based system. So over the course of a school year, where the high school has semester 1 and semester 2, the college has 3 quarters, fall, winter, and spring. And so while the winter break matches up between the college and the high school, the midwinter break, spring break are not aligned with the college schedule. So there's a little bit of difference there. Running Start students can decide to pursue full-time Running Start schedule, which means they take all of their classes at the college and none of the classes at the high school. Or they can pursue a part-time schedule where they do a little bit at the high school and a little bit at the college. Full-time college schedule is taking 3 5-credit college classes. So 15 college credits in fall quarter is 3 high school credits. In 1 quarter, you earn as much as you would in, almost as much as you would in a whole semester of high school. So by the end of 1 year in full-time Running Start, you might expect to earn 9 high school credits. And part-time schedules really vary. It's a mix depending on what needs you have and what you're pursuing at each building, and counselors can advise on how those schedules might work. Next slide. So Running Start is really, students are taking college classes. So just like any other student at that college, they are registering for classes that can vary really greatly. There are classes at 6:30 in the morning. There are classes that go until 10 p.m. Some classes are all in person, some are just online, some are a little bit in person, a little bit online hybrid. When you register for college classes, you're registering quarter by quarter. So in the spring, you would register for fall quarter, and then you would wait until October or November is when you'd be registering for the winter quarter. So you're having to be a little bit flexible and preparing to act quarterly to get your schedule set up for the next quarter. The classes are not restricted to just high school students in Running Start. They are truly college classes. And so your student, if you were a junior, you're 16 years old, you could be taking class alongside adult learners who are going back and pursuing a college career. Ages can be 16 to 100, whoever is going to college, that's who might be in that class. So again, it's not a separate class. You are truly entering an adult learning environment. The student schedule, there is really a lot of variety, and students will choose classes that meet their high school graduation requirements. And then as second priority, the classes that are aligning to their college goals. They're going to pick whatever time works best for them. If they want to take all night classes and they're able to get into those classes, that could work out just fine. There are limits in seat availability. So always important is registering as soon as you are able to as college student. Okay, next slide. Classes and credits. Okay, so in college, there is no first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh period. It is not the same as high school. There are some classes that meet every single day. There are some that meet just twice a week. In general, you are doing a lot more work independently on your own time, and then receiving instruction in the classroom as well. Students can take any class that is any credit class that's offered at the college. And like I said before, the priority is to plan for meeting high school graduation requirements. That's your first priority. And then as you're planning out from there, you're also building in your other curriculum that is of high interest to you and that may meet college goals. There are classes that the colleges have prerequisites for them. So it could be that a student needs to take a placement test, or they need to have completed a certain course or level of course before being admitted into the college level class. And the college course catalogs have that information. Counselors will have some perspective on that and can give a little bit of guidance, and really the college is the expert and that's the best source of information. So like I said, a 5-credit, let's go back just quickly, a 5-credit college class, that's like English 101 is a 5-credit college class. That equals 1.0 high school credit. So fall quarter, you took English 101, that's an 11-week quarter. You've earned your English 11 or English 12 credit for the entire year, just in that 11-week quarter. So you're taking typically 3 classes in a full-time schedule. That's 15 credits, that equals 3 high school credits. There are also classes that are worth 2 or 3 credits. A 2 or 3 credit college class is worth 0.5 at the high school. So like a semester class, this is common for PE and art classes at the colleges. And there are other examples as well.
Melanie, I can present the next slide to give you your voice the rest. So most colleges, most Issaquah School District students attend for Running Start include the Bellevue College, Central Washington University at the Sammamish campus, Renton Technical College, Lake Washington Institute of Technology, Green River Community College, and of course there are other options depending on where you live. You can talk to your school counselor if one of these is not an option that you would like to pursue, and see what best works for you based on your circumstances. The cost of Running Start for a full-time Running Start program, we're going to talk more detail about a form that needs to be filled, but the program, if you're in the Running Start program, it pays for up to 15 college credits per quarter. The number of college credits that are available for part-time students may vary, and you need to work with the school counselor on that because they do a ratio of how many classes you're taking at the high school, and that tells you kind of how many classes you can take at the community college and vice versa. So you can take more credits that Running Start than you want, but Running Start will not cover certain number of credits if it's not in balance with what you're doing in high school, or if you're full-time. Let's say you want to take 20 college credits, but Running Start will pay for the 15, and then you would be responsible, or your child would be responsible for the rest. The Running Start program does not cover textbook fees, nor does it cover class fees if there are any that are applicable to that class, for example, art supplies or for an automotive class at Renton Technical College. And no transportation is provided to any of the colleges. All students under 18, however, do have an ORCA pass, so they could use a bus. The cost also does not include meals or parking and at the at the colleges that they are studying at. But remember, students can apply for financial aid. And when they do, they need to apply for financial aid for those additional fees that it's not covered by the cost of the program through the college for support and help, financial aid for textbooks or other costs that they might incur while they're in the program. Melanie, if you'd like to continue on this one.
Yep. Okay, so what classes can a student take? So the first and most important thing is that Running Start is applicable to classes that are at the 100 level or higher. This means that they are college level courses. There are classes that are below the 100 level that are offered at colleges. So you might see a class like Math 099. That's below the 100 level. That is not a college level class. And so Running Start cannot pay the tuition for that. Also important to note, classes below the 100 level, which if a student was going to pursue them, the family would be paying tuition for that class. That is possible. Talk with your counselor about those options, as it's good to get consult on that. But a class below the 100 level, a 5-credit class below the 100 level, is recognized for just 0.5 credit at the high school. So while 100 level, 5 credit equals 1.0, below the 100 level, it's recognized for half of that. So there are great options at the colleges for most subject areas. It does vary a little bit college by college. But just generally speaking, there are English, social studies, math, science options. English always begins with English 101, which is like a college freshman composition course, and this meets important prerequisites for most college programs. Social studies, there are specific classes, college classes that are mapped to meet world studies, civics, US history. It's not any social studies class. There's specific classes that meet those requirements, but there's also several more social science departments available at the college. So there's psychology, philosophy, sociology, political science, geography, quite a wide selection. For math and science, some important things to note. College level math is above the Algebra 2 level. So there is not the opportunity to take Algebra 1, Geometry, or Algebra 2 through Running Start. That is high school level math. College level math begins above Algebra 2. So there are opportunities for students who are perhaps pursuing Running Start. They're a junior and they have not yet completed Algebra 2. They might consider taking a schedule that would allow for Algebra 2 at the high school. And then even with just one class at the high school, the student would still be eligible for 15 credits at the college campus. So that part-time schedule would still allow a student to be progressing in what would look like a full Running Start schedule without having to pay tuition for a class below the 100 level at the college campus. So that's what we would generally recommend. In science, it is important for students to be thinking this is college level for all classes, but especially for science. This is college curriculum. This is like in-depth curriculum and pacing, and you need to make sure that you've met the prerequisites for a class. So especially for chemistry and physics, there is very likely a level of math proficiency that a student would need to demonstrate to be ready for that college level class. You'll see more information on the college websites. And in addition to the subjects that we are typically offering at the high school, there's a broad array of science departments at the community colleges as well. So there are classes in botany, there's classes in astronomy, there's wide variety, environmental science, quite a broad array of science classes available. So you would find out what is offered at each community or at each college by checking their course catalogs, and we've included links to those course catalogs at the end of our presentation. I will say that counselors, so we've also included links to the Running Start page at each high school at the end of this presentation. And on those websites, school counselors very likely have included a link to an equivalency sheet that shows you at, say, Bellevue College, this course would count for this graduation requirement. So this is an example of the Bellevue College equivalency. Each subject, each graduation requirement area, there is a roadmap of what you can take at Bellevue College that would meet this requirement. Very important to follow this roadmap. When you make assumptions, you may have surprises later. That's why we've tried to make very useful tools that spell out which classes will meet which graduation requirements, and counselors can be consulted on that as well. Okay, so Running Start, in order for this to work, it really needs to be a year-long commitment, and you need to be thinking about balancing, especially if you are pursuing a part-time Running Start schedule. So again, part-time Running Start means you're taking some at the high school, some at the college, and you need to plan for you to be able to be at the high school when you're scheduled for high school and to be at the college when you're scheduled for college, allowing transportation time in between. Like I said before, the college quarters don't align to high school semesters. So it is very difficult if you get through fall quarter and then you want to change what you're doing. That change would come, winter quarter begins at the beginning of January while you are still in first semester. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is to come up with a plan that you can commit to for the entire year that will give you consistency and balance in your schedule. There are always students who end up needing to make changes later, but I will tell you those changes can be very, very difficult, and it's not often a simple solution. So it's something to take very seriously. Each quarter, part-time students are registering for the next quarter of their classes. So you cannot register for fall, winter, and spring ahead of time and be guaranteed that the courses that you want are offered at the times that you want. So I might be meeting with a student recommending that they pursue a 6th and 7th period schedule at the high school. And then they're looking for morning classes that wouldn't conflict. Each quarter, we get to winter quarter, they missed their registration deadline, they got a little bit behind, classes are filling up. If there isn't a class in the like, really nice, like 10 o'clock time slot, you might be taking a class that meets at 6:30 in the morning because that's what's available. So you need to be flexible, and more importantly, you need to be planning, paying attention to the messages about when to register, and make sure that you register in a timely fashion. That's your best opportunity to have a plan that really works. Again, got to be mindful of the travel time. You need to be able to move from one building, get to your car, or to meet a friend for a ride, or get to the bus, get to the campus, park, or walk from the bus stop all the way to class, and then be there by the time class starts. So really important to think that through. Students, there are times when there could be a conflict between the high school and the college schedule, even when you've planned very carefully. So a couple examples would be if you are an 11th grader and you'd like to take the PSAT at the high school, that might conflict with a Running Start class. And in that case, you would need to talk to your college professor about what would I plan for that, and what do I need to know if I had to miss this class. Another example would be finals week, semester 1 finals week. Your 6-period class might have a final at a time that is not the typical 6-period time, and you would need to coordinate with the college professor. The third example that I can think of is if you needed to be at the high school to, say, take the Smarter Balance assessment class. That's typically a 10th grade class, but there are some 11th graders that take that test as well. And if you needed to be at the high school on a testing day, then that might change up schedule, or like an AP exam. So those are rare. That should be very, very infrequent, but it would be the student's responsibility to communicate with their professor to resolve those issues. And it should not be a common event. Okay.
So,
do you want to take over, Lorna?
sure, I can do next 2 slides maybe. So in talking to students and also learning more about this program, what we've learned is that successful students in Running Start are very organized. They're very aware of homework, deadlines, class registration, tuition, payment. So they really are mindful of when they need to turn the form and have turned the form in so the tuition has been paid. Otherwise, they might find themselves withdrawn from the class and not realizing what's happening. And that could be very problematic, especially if they need it for graduation. They need to be flexible, especially as Melanie said, sometimes because of the fact that you cannot register for all quarter classes at the beginning of the year, you don't quite know what you're getting in fall or spring. So you might be trying to register for a class in spring, but that class might not be offered at the preferred time, or for whatever reason, you're a little bit late in registering. And now you're unable to register for that specific class you're trying. So now you've got to be flexible and see how you can adjust to what you wanted to do. Students need to be committed to attending classes regularly and on time. Remember, the high schools are not aware of the attendance record in college. So there's no communication between the college and the parents, or a communication between the high school and the parents if a child is not attending regularly. That's why students need to be disciplined and self-motivated, because it's not something that the high school is communicating at all. Once the counselors really sign that form, the next thing they find out is the grade that they are sent at the end of that quarter. So there's no communication if the kid is failing, if they're not attending class, if they're struggling, none of that. So really, the student needs to be very disciplined and self-motivated. They need to be working independently, so they are responsible for their own schoolwork, grades, and the progress of what they are doing. They need to be independent in an adult setting, since they will have those 20-year-olds, potentially 30, 40-year-olds in that environment with them. There are a lot of Running Start students in certain schools, but depending on what college you're at, you might have many adults, or what class you're taking, many adults in the setting with you. So for certain students who are 16, 17, depending how mature they are and their awareness of interacting with adults with different experience levels around them. Transportation, that's one of the big questions a lot of families ask me, and there is no transportation to the colleges. Students need to be able to either drive themselves, take a bus, find out if carpool exists, or have family members drive them to the college. So it's very important for students to be independent, and the student needs to apply for the program. Of course, some families help their child apply for it, but the application is done through the student/family. The student is also the one that needs to initiate that original meeting with the high school counselor to plan for classes. The counselor is going to advise and suggest classes they need, especially if it comes towards what they need to complete graduation, because the counselor is going to always encourage the student to take classes to ensure that they're going to graduate on time, because if something changes in fall and winter or spring quarter, we never want a child to fall behind and then not graduate at the end. So the students are really encouraged to register for classes on time, find the classes they want or need that works for their schedule, to plan and be aware of the important dates, such as the start of the quarter, the enrollment dates, deadlines. What students have told me regarding Running Start, that you really need students really need to learn how to read email communications from the college and the professors, because both of them are sending them email communications, might be also sending them Canvas communications, but also email communications. So they need to be mindful of paying attention to these communications, responding or acting upon them, because the parents, the school is not going to be then reminding parents, hey, remember that your child has this big final exam or the project, or your kid's not coming to school. So it's really about the child communicating with the college. Students also need to identify if they need supports at the college level, and then seek and use supports that the colleges have. The biggest advice I was given from students for other students in the program is that the colleges often have centers, offices that can help students and advise them for what classes they should take to help transfer to different other colleges. And so to use those resources at the colleges, because we at the school might not have that information that colleges might have, especially regarding transfer of college credits to other colleges. Students also need to be able to schedule and meet with a high school counselor each quarter early enough so that they can ensure that they're on track and getting a specific form that Melanie will talk more about that's needed to be able to get and sign up for the Running Start program to pay for college for the next quarter.
Okay, so we'll talk now a little bit about the role. We've talked about what a successful student looks like. We'll talk a little bit about the role of the high school and the school counselor, and then the college. What's the college's role? So counselors, we are well trained and ready to talk about this. We're going to specify, what do you need to graduate? What have you met for your graduation requirements? What do you have remaining? And which college classes will meet that requirement? And then beyond that, we can offer suggestions and ideas about other things you might consider for other college class options, but we will not be the 100% expert on that. So we can offer some advice, and we might refer you along to the college for additional advice. Each quarter, the counselor will be ready to sign the enrollment. So it's RSEVF, that stands for Running Start Enrollment Verification Form. And that form is basically a tuition check. So each quarter, counselor must schedule an appointment with me and bring the form. I'm serving many Running Start students all at once, so it's really important that I know that you're coming. I can make sure I'm available. If you schedule an appointment with me, I will be there ready to sign, and then the student takes that signed form and is responsible for turning it into the college. So counselor is there ready to sign the form. The student is scheduling the appointment and turning it in. So the high school, through that form, pays tuition. That's why it's really important. I can't emphasize this enough, that every quarter the student is on top of getting that form signed and turning it into the college, and that pays their tuition. You don't have a form, your tuition isn't paid, and that causes problems. The high school is also responsible for transcribing the credits. So every credit that you take through Running Start by Washington state law, we must add to your high school transcript. The college sends the grades over to the high school directly, and then takes a little bit of processing time, but the high school adds that to your high school transcript. And then just to re-emphasize again, the school counselor, we do not have any special access to the college. We can support students who are trying to complete a task, but we don't have any additional access or power to do it for a student. The student comes in and wants to sit side by side looking at how to register. Was always happy to do that as a school counselor. I can't register for them. I can't contact the college on their behalf to ask to get them into a class that is already full. All I can do is sit side by side and support them in what they are trying to accomplish as a college student. Okay, and what is the role of the college? So the college, your student is truly a college student when they're in Running Start. So the college communicates with the student directly and with only the student, because that's how it works in college, not with the high school and not with families. They're going to communicate directly to the student, often through the college email address. That's why reading email is critically important. They'll communicate about registration, deadlines, performance, how things are going in the course, any obstacles that need to be resolved. Running Start students truly are just regular college students on campus, so there's no special treatment, there's no cutting lines or getting priority or anything like that. You're having the true college student experience. The college does not share any of the how is it going information with either the high school or parents or guardians. So I, as a high school counselor, did not have insight into attendance, grades in progress, what the student's behavior was on campus, entirely dependent on the student to report that themselves. Colleges have tons of support available for students. So I can't emphasize this enough. There's really, really great resources on the college campuses. There are tutoring labs, there are academic supports, there are often mental health supports, there's college advising. There's really, really great resources that are accessible to students who have enrolled through the Running Start program as well. It is important for the student then to go and pursue those resources. And the college at the end of the quarter sends the final grade along to the high school, which allows us to put those final grades on the high school transcript.
So here are some challenges and surprises reported by students in the Running Start program. So some students have commented on the fact that it's fast-paced, since one 5-credit class covers an entire year, so 180 days of high school curriculum. Classes often have more homework or reading than the high school class. And sometimes students are a bit more reluctant to contact the college office for assistance. And we really try to encourage you as a parent to recommend students to do that, because they can find a lot of resources. They just need to advocate and seek them out. Students also don't realize they can meet with a college advisor for guidance on college pathways and requirements. I noticed in a lot of your questions in the registration form, you asked which classes they would transfer to colleges outside the state, or to UW, or to private colleges, or to colleges outside the country. We don't know all of that. And so that kind of information, you need to seek the college advisor to get some information and answers on that. So just letting you know that some of you asked those questions, and we really can address those questions in this presentation. Colleges are also on the quarter system, and high schools on a semester system. So as you noticed earlier, the vacation and breaks don't line up. So kids need to be mindful, parents need to be mindful, especially if they are planning on any winter or midwinter break or spring break. Because things are not going to line up, including the end of the school year or the first day of school. So many things are a little bit different. And you cannot drop out of a class and sign up for high school easily, because if you drop out of a class, let's say fall, you're going to have to really wait, depending on when, for second semester if you're really late, because chances are you are absent and so far behind. Even if you signed up for the high school class in the middle of a semester, you might end up getting a D or an F in that class, depending on when you kind of try to come back in. So it's really a commitment, year-long commitment when you sign up. So what can families monitor and progress? How can families monitor progress and grades? And so the recommendation is for you and your child to have these conversations. You know, there is no high school Canvas or Canvas that you can access in colleges, and no family access for information for you. So it's a conversation that you would be having with your child about this. And we emphasize and talk about this as at the parent information night, because in the past, many parents have been surprised about their child's performance, because it is more rigorous, a lot more independent, and we don't want to build a parent up or a child up for failure. So you and your child really need to know what the expectation is. And so you're very aware of what you're getting into as you sign up for the Running Start program. After each quarter, families can check on Family Access to see the final grade. Once the high school has received it and the counseling office has posted it, into family access, which then will also appear on their high school transcript. And on their high school transcript, it will appear with a notation. If you've been to my 8th grade transition night, you'll have seen an example of a high school transcript, and it'll have a notation showing that it was a running start class. And that's information for colleges when they apply for the college, so that the college knows that that credit is from a running start class. So it's noted that they took a college level class to get that high school credit. In addition, after the child has applied to a college, they can then send the college transcript that shows what kind of credits that they're applying to have transferred, but that is a later process, not in the college application process. So students are responsible, honestly, for sharing the progress and the grades with their families. It's a constant conversation. Now for IEPs and 504s. Melanie?
If your student has an IEP or 504 plan, they may qualify for supports at the college, but it's important to note that there is the college decides on the supports that the college will provide. It's not an automatically put in place that what you have in high school will be put in place at college. So students would reach out to the office at the college, sometimes called disabilities office or student support office. There is a process to submit an application for college supports. I don't want that to sound like a scary thing. It is creating an open conversation so the college can understand the needs. And then the college might require some documentation. They might need some additional information from the family. So it's good to work well in advance of the deadline. And then the college will look at that information and they will determine, just like a high school did, they will determine what accommodations they will provide on the college campus. It's important to note that colleges are typically providing accommodation, but not modification. So there can be differences between the sort of supports that you might receive in high school and the sort of supports that you would receive on a college campus. If your student is on an IEP, I do really recommend starting by talking with their IEP team well in advance of signing up for Running Start. So this is a great opportunity for the IEP team to provide additional support and guidance on what sort of college plan would work best for your students' individual needs. So that is a great conversation to start well in advance.
And here we have the resources that Melanie has talked about, the links to the high school counseling websites, along with a document regarding some FAQs of frequently asked questions about the Running Start program. We also have
But may I say the Running Start FAQ is a very, very long read. That's like a 37-page PDF. Do not feel like you need to read through that to understand the Running Start program. It is available if you want to learn more about the Washington state laws that determine Running Start. But a great place to start would just be first the high school websites.
And then we have the links to some of the more commonly attended colleges that our students attend, and also the link to their Running Start program, so you can start the application process along with the course catalog information and the link to that. We also have some information that parents can get once they get this slide deck, or they sign up to have the slide deck emailed to them with some of the important dates and links to the team events for both Bellevue College and also for Central Washington University, and the link to get more information for their online or in-person information nights. So the next step for this is, if you have, we would recommend that you attend one of the information nights, especially if your child is a freshman or a sophomore, to see if this is something that they'd be interested in doing their junior or senior year in high school. And if that is something that, once you've attended that night, then you're welcome, and you should talk to the high school counselor to get more information and continue and to start building the plan. to start attending Running Start. So at
One
this time,
One thing I want to emphasize too, is we're moving into course request season. Even if your student is like 100% certain they want to do full-time Running Start next year, do please fill out a complete schedule of high school course requests. This is your backup plan. So we will want you to have